Shirley with Spirit of Matter, and I'm here with a special episode dedicated to predicting charts or what will I see in charts of famous astronauts. So I tried to do this once and then I hit the wrong chart and started to, and some of the predictions were borne out, but it was not an astronaut, it was a musician, trans person who died at 34. Um, so now I'm going to try again. And I'm going to tell you the predictions that I have. Now let's begin with taking a look at the current planets. Current planets, current planets, current planets. Right now, oh, it is Mars hour. I missed the Jupiter hour. Ascendant is ruled by the Sun. Sun is in the 10th house. The midheaven is on Mercury, which is Mercury is retrograde. Mars here is in the 12th house, sextiling this Mercury. Sextiling Uranus. Mars in Cancer. Okay, let's see what happens. So, for astronauts, my predictions are prominent 12th house that is connected with the 10th, the 11th, to some extent the 9th, and the 3rd. Why the 3rd? Because the 3rd is where you travel every day. Let's say if you have to pick your kids from school or something like that, that would be happening in the 3rd. And if you travel to space, then space is your 3rd house. So that would be, and 12th is both confinement and isolation, but also really long distance travel, the type of travel where you're far away from home, and that is also including space. Ninth house because travels, and I don't expect it to be too prominent. 10th house because if the astronaut was famous, then we would know about them, and then the 10th house would be somehow related to the 12th. Other things that I predict in terms of planets, then because most traveling to space up until now was done as mission related to humanity, then I would expect the prominence of all outer planets. I'd expect these people to be outer planets people. And it's not for nothing that when I predicted and the chart that came out was a chart of a person who was not an astronaut, what this person was a musician that was also a trans person. So it's kind of like a person that served humanity, in this case with their music. So all outer planets were indeed involved, and most of my predictions were borne out. With astronauts, it's similar because they are of service to humanity, basically. And I would predict all outer planets to be involved, and thereby I would predict Aquarius, which is high technology and also space and also research. Yeah. Pisces, which is that really, really, really long distance travel, like Lost in Space distance travel. To some extent, Sagittarius, just because it's ruled by Jupiter and you travel somewhere, and to some degree Scorpio, because it is ruled by Mars. And this brings me to the next prediction, which is connections between Saturn, the Moon, and Mars. Why am I saying that? The Moon is traveling because it just travels every day. The Moon also is our psychology, so our emotional state, which is required for everything. Mars is being athletic, which is a requirement if you travel to space. Saturn is that long distance. It can also be Mars in the sign of Saturn, like Saturn ruled Mars and so on and so forth. It's a connection between Saturn and Mars, and definitely connections with those to the Moon. Simply because to travel this long distance, you need to have this ability to emotionally, psychologically, and physically be in a tin can for several years. Okay, that's a bit, yeah. So, very intense on the body. So, those are the things that I would expect to see. And without further ado, let's turn to our first astronauts. So, I picked recent people, and this is Sophie Adenot, natal chart. Let us take a look at her natal chart. Um, and she was on a mission in 2022, so it's very recent. And here we have her chart. So, ascendant in Virgo, which is quite where the moon was traveling to today. Now the moon is in 7 degrees, 8 degrees. Um, Virgo. For the 11th house, she has the ruler of the 12th in the 11th, and the 12th being Leo. So the ruler of the 12th in the 11th, and this ruler is in the sign of the moon, with the moon in Saturn, so moon with Saturn. Now let's take a look at this, because whole sign houses 3, 4, 5. Her moon is in the 5th whole sign, speaking. In Saturn's sign, Saturn is conjuncting Mars. As I predicted, it does happen in the 2nd house, which is skill, and that's something I didn't think about, and it's actually true. Like I'd add that to the predictions. So the Mars is in Libra, and Saturn is in Libra. Saturn is exalted in Libra. Mars is fallen in Libra. Pluto is in Libra. Pluto here makes an inconjunct to the midheaven, which is expected. Midheaven in 24 degrees Taurus, which is frightening because it's next to Algol. And the sun is with, is this Ketu? It's Rahu. Is this Rahu? I think so, right? Jupiter in the 3rd house in Scorpio. We have Pisces in the 7th house, and what else? So Scorpio in the 3rd, Pisces, and the ruler in the 2nd. There is a connection between the 12th, the 2nd, and the 5th, which is kind of good. Yeah. The 12th, the 2nd, the 11th, and the 5th. So, and the ruler of this stellium of Mars, Saturn, and Pluto in Libra is Venus, and she is in the 10th. So all this connection between 12th, 11th, here in this case it's the 2nd, but also the 3rd, because Mars is ruling the 3rd house and the 8th house, but here is the 3rd house, I guess, is prominent, is in the 10th house. Venus with Mercury are in Gemini, 10th house, and Venus is also ruling the midheaven. So ruler of the 9th house, midheaven is in the 9th house in this case, is in the 10th. Public figure that brings something from the 10th to the 12th. Let's look at the outer planets. So Uranus in Sagittarius here is opposing the midheaven. Yeah, it's kind of yeah, it's not, there is an orb for this opposition, but it is opposing the midheaven from the 4th. So literally Uranus in the 4th in Sag is traveling. Uranus is high technology. It's like her home for at least a while was a spaceship in space. So that's interesting. Neptune in Sagittarius, opposing Mercury in the 10th, in conjuncting the midheaven. So it does trine the ascendant. So prominent outer planets. This one is being borne out. Pluto here trining Mercury. and in conjuncting the midheaven. So prominent outer planets make connection to prominent placement with the ascendant in the midheaven. Um, I like it that the moon is in the fifth, even though the moon is in Capricorn, which is in detriment. We do see the connection between Saturn and Mars. They conjunct. Their ruler of the second is in the 10th, and Mars is ruling the third. So this third house, 12th house, the houses is being borne out. Um, it doesn't mean that she could only be an astronaut with this chart, but it's definitely shows us of a figure who is famous, is known for something that she did. And we have predicted Aquarius in the sixth house. Okay, Aquarius is dealing with research, with space, and its ruler is in the fourth. So her home is her work, which is a spaceship, and she traveled. So that is um, quite expected from people who are astronauts. I have two birds next to me, and I just love it. They're so cute, so cute. Anyway, so this is the first on the list. Meanwhile, predictions are borne out. Let's see what other astronauts do we have on the list. So oh no, that's not the one. Are they getting close? No. So let's take something from 2015. And Robert or Sunita Williams, Eric Bowes, let's say, one, Eric Bow. Eric Allen Bow, retired from the United States Air Force fighter pilot, colonel, test pilot. So let's just see if we have his natal chart. I'm going to do web search, and then I'm going to add to it natal chart. Is this Eric Bow? It's Eric Allen. I don't know if it's the same one. Hubble space. Is this the one? Let me see. No, I don't think so. Who is Alan Bow? Is this Alan Bow? No, it's Eric Allen. And we want Eric Allen Bow. I don't have his chart. So we're going to try another person. If you have Eric Bow's chart, then Matthias Joseph Maurer. Let's see if we have his natal chart. Okay. Nope. It's a bit more difficult, but we are going to make it. Not giving up. So, Douglas Harley. Yes. Wow, we really have to work as astrologers to do the natal chart of these people chart. Okay, Doug Harley astronaut. Okay, this is from allfamous.org, and this is the chart of Doug Harley. Okay, this is the natal chart. We have ascendant in Sagittarius and midheaven in Libra. So midheaven in the 11th house, whole sign speaking. In the 9th house, Placidus. Is it Placidus? We do have Neptune and Mercury, 21-degree Scorpio in the 12th house, in conjuncting Ketu and Saturn in Pisces. Not Ketu, sorry, Chiron and Saturn in Pisces in the fourth whole sign house. So the home is space. There's this inconjunct here, which is quite uneasy relationship to space. And there is an opposition to Pluto and Uranus in Virgo with Mars in Virgo. So Mercury ruled Mars. The ruler of Mars is in the 12th. The ruler of the 10th whole sign house is in the 12th, so this is borne out. Third house is Aquarius with Saturn in the 4th in Pisces. So this is a person who's having a Saturn return these couple of years now. And the moon in the 3rd. The moon in conjuncting Uranus, and thereby also the moon in is it trine? No. In conjuncting Uranus, it's a wide orb for that. And the moon opposes Jupiter in the 9th. Then Jupiter is in Leo with the sun in Libra. So the 11th house and the 9th are related. So the houses are related. The outer planets are prominent. Saturn and Mars are not related here. So Mars is in Virgo. Mars in Virgo reminds me of the saying, a small step to man, a giant step to humanity, because Virgo is small things and Mars is drive, so it's kind of like a small step to a person. So that's what this is reminding me of. But yeah, I'm intrigued by the Chiron conjuncting Saturn, which can give us a wound around education, a wound around structure, and a wound around home. Which is to some extent, and this is a trine, it's not an inconjunct, it's a trine, it's just a green, my bias. So, which is resolved in space. It's kind of like some issue arises at home and you just retreat to a secluded, isolated place in space. Jupiter, the ruler of the ascendant, is in the 9th, so traveling, and of course the sun in the 11th, which is expected. Okay, public figure. I'm trying to see here connections between the 12th and Jupiter. I don't see. Saturn is ruling the 2nd. So yes, prominent Pisces, Aquarius in the 3rd with the moon there, the moon aspect in Uranus and Pluto, outer planets to inner planet, the things we would expect. Now let's see if I can do another chart. Let's see if I can get another natal chart here. And let's take another year. Let's take 1969. Carol Bobko. And let's see if we have a natal chart. This almost reminds me of my academia, because I'm picking different years and I'm like different people, trying to see if there is something common. And thank you allfamous.org, because we do have a chart here. Okay, we have a countdown to his birthday. He's retired. Yes, but can we see the chart, please? Können wir die Horoskop sehen? Okay, I want to see chart. Astrology, birth chart. Okay. Why am I having these divorce advertisements and... Thank you. So he had ascendant in Aries, Saturn in the 12th in Pisces. Okay, at the end of Pisces, Mars in Pisces. So Mars, the ruler of the first in the 12th, Okay, fated traveling far, far away, or fated secluded travel. Mars is in the same sign with Saturn, but there is no other connection between them. 11th house is Aquarius, with the ruler of the 11th in the 12th. Again, one of the predictions that I would expect. Um, 10th house. Okay, Jupiter in Aquarius, traveling to do with space, traveling to do with research. Sixth house. So, sixth house is Virgo, with Neptune and the moon conjuncting. Moon, very, 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 very long distance travel, extreme isolation, unfortunately also loss. Um, and the moon, which is, the kind of short distance travel. So the short distance travel is actually to space. Because when you are at space, then short distance travels happen at space. Virgo again, the sixth house with the ruler if in the 10th, and Mercury being the ruler in Saturn sign, Saturn in the 12th. This kind of small step to man, giant step to humanity kind of a thing is kind of a reoccurring theme. But no, it's not the astronauts who said that, or yeah, but that's so interesting. Sun in Saturn signs, so, and ruling the 5th. So Venus in the 9th, in Jupiter sign. Uranus is in Taurus, but I don't see any other connection. Like Uranus is in Taurus and its ruler is in Jupiter sign, so in the 9th. Okay. Uranus is what we do see is Uranus is the modern ruler of the 11th in the 3rd. Okay, so these connections of the houses which we predicted. Other than that, I don't see Uranus as particularly prominent in this chart. So the Uranus particular prominence is not borne out. Pluto opposes Jupiter here. So travels that have significance, that have power, and travels to do with gravity, travels to which gravity is necessary. We need to know about gravity to travel to space. We don't need to know that much about gravity if we take a plane to the United States from, I don't know, Europe or Russia or China. The pilot needs to know, but the astronauts does need to know a lot. They get trained a lot, and they have to do a lot with gravity in order to travel. So traveling and gravity, and also a powerful change and transformation of your worldview, which naturally happens if you go through these things. Neptune is connected both to Jupiter, which is this planet of travel. So 6th house, 11th house, traveling in favor of humanity, traveling to do with gravity. Yeah. I also see here Chiron in the 4th house, opposing the midheaven in the 10th. So there can be this like a wound at home that is somehow resolved by traveling to space. I have Chiron in the 4th. In the 4th, I don't see myself traveling to space, but okay. So far, born out. So I think I'll make a bit of a stop. Yeah, oh my god, I can't believe it just took me less than half an hour. I'll make a bit of a stop, and I'll tune to it perhaps next time with more episodes. So this is the astrology of astronauts.